So welcome everybody to the December 7th Minnesota Safe Routes to School network call. I'm very excited to be celebrating the end of a really great year with you all. Who are we at the Safe Routes Network? We are hundreds of dedicated professionals from organizations, from agencies, from nonprofits, from schools across the state who are building skills and trying to make Minnesota a space where all students, no matter their age, their race, their ethnicity, income level, anything about their background, that they can all get to school via walking, biking, and rolling on routes that are safe, comfortable, and convenient. My name is Elissa Schufman. I use she and they pronouns. I facilitate the call. I'm with Move Minnesota. Julie Johnson is my partner in chaos in the background, making sure we do things like record the call for folks who can't make it live. We will start with a MnDOT update from Kelly, our friend over at MnDOT, and then Ellen and Shirley are going to guide us through the network survey results and analysis. So thank you to everybody who took the survey so that we would have lots of good stuff to digest today. And then we'll close out with talking about what the dates are for the 2024 network calls. As folks are arriving, I would love it if you could introduce yourself in the chat, share your name, where you're calling in from. And then I would love it if for today's sort of icebreaker, if you could share a highlight or a reflection from your work this year in the chat. I know you all are doing such good work, and we try to celebrate it throughout the year, but I really like if we can take just a minute here at the end of the year as folks are introducing themselves, to think about what was something from this year I'd like to remember, or like to share out, because there's just so much, and we don't get enough opportunities to celebrate the good stuff as we are all doing all of the good work of safe routes and problem solving things and creating new systems and building new infrastructure and all that stuff. So Ellen stole my highlight from the year. My highlight from the year was definitely seeing folks in person at the Safe Routes meetup. There were so many of you that I hadn't gotten to meet in person before. So that was really fun to see so many of you in person, and I get to continue to build with you on these calls over the year. So I will, oh, these are good. Yeah. I see Kelly, new grant opportunities. Of course, Kelly's like all about leveraging the resources and making sure people have all the things that they need to do their work. Joanne hosted the SHIP conference in Rochester with a bike tour. What a lot of work in that tiny little sentence. The Southern Minnesota Active Transportation Summit. I heard so many good things about that summit, Kristen. I'm glad to hear it was a highlight for you too. Now they're coming in too quickly for me to read them, but I definitely want, I'm going to keep reading them as we go through the rest of the call today and encourage folks to take a look, do some emoji reacts for the ones that resonate with you, because we've got lots and lots to celebrate. So with that, I am going to toss it over to Kelly for the MnDOT update as soon as I can figure out how to stop sharing my screen, because I will never be the most technically savvy person on this call.
All right, thank you. And then you just have to give me the power to share my screen. I was having fun looking at all the highlights from everybody. That's going to be great. So please keep plugging them in while I am presenting, and we will get going on the MnDOT update. A few things to share. Are you seeing my screen or my PowerPoint?
Looks
Okay,
great.
thanks. So I will just share about some things that are happening. I just want to tease at the end of my presentation, I'll talk about the new grants that are going to be opening incredibly soon. So stick with me. Ellen's going to be dropping some links for me. So first up, I want to help plug that Winter Walk to School Day is coming up in just 2 months. Just 2 months exactly. February 7th is Minnesota's Winter Walk to School Day. It is a great opportunity to remind people that we can get out and be physically active in the winter, that we live in Minnesota and we embrace winter. We do crazy things like cut holes in ice and go ice fishing all day, or hop on the back of a snowmobile and go 60 miles per hour when it's 10 degrees outside. Going for a walk is not the craziest thing that we do here in Minnesota. And many of our students have to walk to school, especially as school zones continue to expand as budgets are cut and things like that. So let's make it a little bit more fun. Let's celebrate what they're doing with Winter Walk to School Day. Typically, we also have a governor's proclamation, so that's always kind of fun and makes it somewhat more official. We do have resources available, like all of our events, on our Minnesota Safe Routes to School Resource Center. If you haven't been there, we've updated it in the last few months. It's a new website that hosts all of the resources that we have specifically created for our Minnesota friends. And a lot of things to find there. So there's some flyers, some social media, there's some text to put in newsletters. There's a frequent Winter Walker punch card. Some great ideas and resources there that you can pull from to make this event whatever you want it to be. And I'm just going to actually jump ahead here. These events can be big or small. I love this photo from last year, Falwell Elementary School in Minneapolis. This is their Winter Walk to School Day. It was a great turnout supporting the kids who walk or bike to school day. And hey, they took a picture in front of the sign that said their event was 1 degree outside. You know, if you want to keep going on a cold day, go for it. If you need to reschedule it to a day that's a little bit warmer and February 7th doesn't work for your school, that's okay too. It is just something to help celebrate this year-round walking that we do and get out there. Now, if you live in a rural area or a small area and you don't have a lot of opportunity for students to walk or bike to school in the winter, you can still celebrate walking with some different ideas. A lot of schools do a walk at school. So all the kids who come on through cars, parent drop off, or school bus, they all have to take a lap around the school before they go in, get those wiggles out, get some of that fresh air so they're ready to learn when they hop into school. Or maybe they take that lap around the school at lunchtime, or take a couple laps in the gym. They're just walking, and that's important to do. Some schools will use the opportunity to do some reminders in the neighborhood about winter snow removal and make sure that it's nice and safe in those last super snowy and icy months of February, March. So having some students go out and put those door hangers up or do a mailing to the schools or to the houses that live near the school, and just a reminder of whatever the city's policy is for snow removal. If it a certain amount of inches and it needs to be done in 24 or 36 or 48 hours. And a place to ask for help if they're maybe elderly or disabled or have a tough time shoveling or snow blowing. Where's an opportunity that they could get some resources with maybe a community volunteer opportunity? Story Stroll is a really popular one for Winter Walk to School Day. So that's maybe working with your librarian or English teacher and using those yard signs and putting a page of a book on each yard sign and then having those placed along the way around the school. So kids are taking a walk, but they're also doing their reading and maybe some discussion. So it gives them something to focus on as they're walking and doing some learning. So it's just a fun way to get out of the classroom in the winter. Remote drop-offs, we have toolkits for a parent walk and drop and walk. Remote parent walk, drop off, or we have a bus stop and walk guide as well. If you want the buses to stop 2 blocks away, maybe a church or a park or a place where it's easy for them to drop off. And then you're using some parent volunteers to help with act as crossing guards for those last 2 blocks to get the kiddos in. Some schools will use it as they'll do a couple classes, will do a walking field trip to a nearby playground, or maybe they're walking to another middle school to do some intergenerational learning. Some just celebrate by offering hot cocoa and snacks to the kids who are walking or biking into school. Some kids or some schools you might want to consider doing, you're celebrating the walkers and bikers, but you're also celebrating the staff who are out there year round helping kids cross. So doing some sort of crossing guard appreciation event. You're handing out cards or making a sign or giving hot cocoa to the crossing guards and doing it in a different way. So no matter where your school is, you can participate in Winter Walk to School Day in whatever way makes sense for your school, for the capacity that you have to help plan the event. We just ask that you do register on our website, and you will find that on the Minnesota Resource Center. If you scroll down, here's all the resources, and then the registration page is there. If you're working with a bunch of schools and you want to know if someone registered, you can just shoot me an email and I'll let you know. I can look in our database. If schools or partners register by January 24th, we will email them or we will mail them out a packet. These are all boxes behind me of all the mailings, which is some posters, some reflective zipper pulls. There's some bookmarks in there and some stickers to help celebrate the event. And maybe you can use them all now, or some of them get left over for Bike to School Day. That's just fine. So get registered by January 24th for whatever your event may be. Maybe you're just going to be sharing out some winter walk safety tips through education. That's okay. Big or small, that's just fine. And the last thing with Winter Walk to School Day is our Golden Snowboot Award. So submit your pictures to us on Facebook, or you can email them to me directly. And let us see those great pictures of your event or what you're up to with Winter Walk to School Day. This was Gage Elementary School the winner last year in Rochester, with a really fun walking school bus event, and then just making it really special as the kids walked into school. So that is all about Winter Walk to School Day. Since we don't have a January call, we might not talk to you in time to give you some information. So this went out in the e-news, and we also have some social media posts about it. If you have any questions or anything, you can always reach out. A couple more updates is if you are working with your Student Safety Patrol program within your communities. We've worked with the Timberwolves that there are free tickets for the Student Safety Patrol members to help celebrate and honor their service and hard work and being outside year round, helping their friends and neighborhoods cross the streets to get to school safely. So there is a code right there in the blue in the middle if you would like to go. So it can be, the whole Student Safety Patrol program can go together, or families can just take their students when it works for their schedules. And then the really fun thing is after the game, the Student Safety Patrol members get to go down on the floor and shoot a free throw. So what a fun, unique experience for these kids who are volunteering, often for the first time in their schools. And our friends at Bike MN are on a retreat, so I'm just going to share for them. The Walk Bike Fun educator training. As a reminder, there's 2 parts. There's a 2-hour online training that has been updated with new videos that's available for anyone who wants to train or learn more about Walk Bike Fun. So if you're a SHIP coordinator and you're like, what is this curriculum? Take the 2-hour training sometime when you have some time here during this winter holiday season, learn more about it. Teachers can take it. And then the second part is on bike or in person, helping teachers understand how to take a class of 30 students out on a bike ride. So we're looking for host sites for the spring training. So this would be the training in or at your school location. We can certainly pull teachers from nearby school districts or other areas, but this would make it certainly the most convenient for your teachers and staff. So we can host a handful of these this spring. So you can either reach out to Angela at bikemn.org if you have questions, or me. Otherwise, take a look at the application and consider applying. We'd love to see trainings all over the state. And Bike MN also has their annual awards. A couple of those are really fun. Educator of the Year. So if you have a PE teacher who's just been doing awesome work with Walk Bike Fun or leading bike rodeos, let's pat them on the back for all the extra work they're doing after a really crazy busy few years. There's a lot going on. People are adding extra things to their plate to partner with us on Safe Routes to School. So let's acknowledge them. So I think they have like 8 or 9 different awards that they give out. So I highly encourage you to go look at it. The application, I filled one out pretty quick and easy. It's just a great way to acknowledge your partner's work. So consider it there. And now let's talk funding. So we've talked before that there's a few grants that have been available, and there's a few more that are opening soon. So the Safe Routes to School Infrastructure Grant, again, the letters of intent were optional. That deadline has passed, but you may still, even if you did not complete a letter of intent, apply for Safe Routes to School infrastructure funding. And that, I believe, closes in, I should probably just get the correct date. That closes on February 2nd, so you can work with your engineering team to do that. The Greater Minnesota Transportation Alternatives Program, I believe, has closed. There's also the Met Council Transportation Alternatives Program regional solicitation, and I believe that closes very soon as well. If you missed them this year, that's okay. They typically are open every October. So infrastructure funding is usually open in October and closes in the winter. So just keep that in mind when you're talking with your partners. But design assistance is a new one, and that is still open for applications if you are interested, and those close January 12th. So you still have a whole month to do that. It does require having a Safe Routes to School plan or being in the process of getting your Safe Routes to School plan done so that all the data is ready. And that'll give you that engineering design to help make your project ready for infrastructure. Just take some of those extra costs away from your community, especially if you're in a small or rural area and you contract with your city or county engineer. That can be really expensive for them to do those designs. So we're trying to minimize that and take some of those costs from your community and help you out in the process. So we've heard about those three have been there. But next up is our non-infrastructure grants. And I do hope that they should all be open by next week. The website has some of the webinar dates that are upcoming. And I'll just switch slides here to talk about these three ones. So planning assistance is one that we've been offering for the past, I would say, 15 years. So this will help your community get a Safe Routes to School plan. It looks at the infrastructure needs. It looks at the non-infrastructure needs, gives you a plan, and really sets you up for success. So if you're just starting out, I highly encourage a Safe Routes to School plan. If you're just getting back into your schools after COVID and you're trying to restart efforts, get another plan redone. Plans are good to get redone every 5 years, but if you've had a lot of turnover, maybe there's been some changes in school transportation and busing routes, planning assistance would be great. I'm going to try really hard to wrap up quickly because I'm going over time. So webinars for planning assistance are the week of December 18th is the first round of webinars for each of these grants. So if you're really excited to learn more and start thinking about it over the holiday break, you can learn before you go on break. Otherwise, if you're like, I can't think about this till next year, the second webinars will be the second week in January. You don't have to attend both. They'll be the same, but it's just an informational webinar if you have questions. Otherwise, you can always reach out to me and I'm happy to answer questions you may have. If you submitted an application in the past and it wasn't funded, you can reach out to me and we can give you some committee feedback to help improve your application. So that's available as well. Boost grant is our non-infrastructure. So if you need a bike fleet, if you want to do a walking school bus pilot or a crossing guard pilot, your boost grant is $5,000 to $50,000. You can apply multiple years in a row. So you can do a small project this year and grow it for next year. And all of these fundings will be available for the next school year. So if you're looking to start some efforts for the 24-25 school year, planning assistance and boost will just be for next school year. And then there's the Safe Routes to School District Coordinator Grant. So if you want to rapidly implement Safe Routes to School strategies within your school district, you might need someone to have that be their job. And so a school district coordinator would be that opportunity. And we are looking to house these positions within a school district. So a coordinator grant, these will be for 3 full school years. So the 24-25, 25-26, and 26-27 school year. So those 3 years to rapidly implement all 6 E's of a Safe Routes to School plan within a school district. All of these grants will be due February 21st. We will review quickly and make award announcements by March so that we can, schools will be notified before the end of the school year and have some time to get our contracts initiated before people take breaks. And then things will start up. The work will begin for next school year. So I am going to stop there. Most of this information will be available on the website today. I will be adding it to Basecamp. I'll make sure Julie has it to send out in the call follow-up information. It will also be going out in our e-news next week, and we'll keep providing information on it. So let me see what's going on in the chat. I'm not seeing questions.
Yep, lots of links, but no immediate questions that I saw.
Yeah. Okay, I will stop screen sharing then. If there are questions about funding, you can drop them in the chat box. I will monitor it, but I know I went over in time. So I think I'm
Sure.
throwing it over to Elissa, and we'll go
Yep.
from there.
You did, and you did not go over time. You were perfect. It
Oh,
was, it
cool.
was 18 and a half minutes. Um, thanks, Kelly. So yeah, lots of information. Definitely get in touch with Kelly if you have any questions. Now we are going to go to the next agenda item, which is sharing out about the survey results. I'm very excited. Julie, I think in her email was like, I'm a data nerd. This is a great call. I also enjoy this. This is a great call.
My favorite one of the year, Elissa.
It's good.
I love it.
Before I toss it to Ellen and Shirley, I was just going to share a little bit of context of why do we do this survey and this presentation. Those of us who plan the network calls, so me and Julie over at Move Minnesota, Ellen and Shirley, and some other folks on the team over at MDH, Kelly, and many of the great folks who support Kelly at MnDOT. Use the results of this survey as a guide to understand who is here, who is not here, what kind of backgrounds or geographies, experience you all are bringing to the call, to understand what you all are interested in learning about or what information might be most helpful to you in your work. So that's why we do the survey. And then presenting back to you all helps us proof our understanding, right? It's an opportunity for us to put the results of the survey in front of you and say, did we hear you right? And so when we do that, we are able to use those survey results in our work. So just wanted to give you all some examples of, last year we did a survey. We presented on it in December 2022, and we used those results. So, we always ask about the call days and times. We use your feedback to make sure that we have the call day and time at, the best possible time. There's no perfect time for everyone. We used it to set call topics. So you all told us you were interested in climate action and safe routes, that you really wanted those continued timely funding updates, that you wanted legislative policy updates. So we scheduled calls on those topics. And we also used the results to plan the 2023 meetup. You all told us last year that, yeah, program sustainability is a big thing for us. We want to talk about it. And so we had a whole panel on it with lots and lots of wisdom from our Safe Routes Network. And we also planned an Equity in Minnesota Safe Routes workshop with our national partners, because you all told us that was a priority. So just wanted to connect some dots. I know it's like, what did I say on that survey in December? And then not necessarily like seeing that come through until June of 6 months later, that it isn't necessarily obvious to you all, but just want to appreciate you, because it really does help us make sure that we are planning things that are supporting you all as a network. So that's what we do with the call results, and I look forward to telling you all what we did with the 2023 results at the end of next year. With that, I will toss it over to Ellen and Shirley. I'm going to continue to run slides, and Ellen and Shirley, you can just tell me next slide when you want me to move to the next slide.
Great. I'll start off again. This is our MNN Safe Routes to School annual network survey, and I will go to the next slide, please. And as you can see, we had 47 participants, which is great. The majority, 63%, were from government agencies. The rest of, as you see, 17% education, 7% nonprofit, and then you can read the rest. Again, we appreciate everybody that comes together. Need all that knowledge together. 24% of you joined in the last year. Thank you very much. 56% have been with us for 4 or more years. And 15% of the respondents did not attend the call. The remaining respondents were spread evenly from 1 over to 7 that they attended, which is great to see. And then we have about 187 people in the members of the network call. So in the network, so we appreciate that. We'll go on to the next slide. This just tells us where the respondents were that answered the questions. As you can see that we had 38 respondents in this section. And the last one we had 41, but the majority of the people were from the rural and small town and regional area hub. We had a little less from Minneapolis and a little less from the Twin Cities suburb And we'll go to the next slide. Satisfaction rate, as you can see, the calls are always useful, 70%. We do want to get that up higher, of course, but the 70% is great. The monthly MnDOT is what people show up for to listen to. So thank you, Kelly, for all of that. Resource sharing, we want to thank everybody who shares with resources. We could probably connect with participants a little bit more. So if you've got any great ideas, please share that with us. Policy updates, as you can see, are great, 69%. How can we help you with that? And scheduled day and time. I think this is a good time for some, but not for everybody, but we do record it. So, you know, let us know what else we can give you with feedback to help you engage with us. And we'll go on to the next slide. This just compares, as you see, from this year to last year. As you can see, we've gone up with everything, so that's great. Again, I call out again the connections to participants. Yeah, please just let us know how we can help you. And like I said, everything went up. So thank you for participating. We really like this call and like sharing everything we can with you. And we'll go to the next slide, please. And suggestions. Two suggestions we had was more outside of Minnesota, having people present on topics, and that's a great idea. We appreciate that. See if you have opportunities to collaborate with others, and I said that earlier. A couple quotes that we'll call out. It's always worth attending to be inspired by new ideas that will move our local work to the next level, and we love hearing that. And I would love to see a couple of presentations on more innovative projects, maybe from outside of Minnesota, and we called that out, as you can see. One person talked about that they would like us to talk about recruitment of volunteers. So if that's something you're interested in, please let us know too. And sustaining active participation in safe routes to school was another thing that came out. Again, we appreciate all this feedback, and I am going to pass it back to, I think, Elissa for a poll.
It's poll time, friends. We're just going to keep gathering data. You already gave us data. We're going to get more data. So I think we know, right, the comments about examples or information from other states came up a couple times throughout in like a couple different sections of the survey results. And so we wanted to dig into what could that look like. We would love to hear from you about what actually would be useful to you. So I'm going to launch this poll. Hopefully it has launched and people can see it in the Zoom interface. But we want to know more about what you want to see from other states, right? Is it example projects? Are you wanting to hear about engineering strategies and successes? Do you want to hear about advocacy strategies and successes? Are you looking for, you know, what's going on at the local level for safe routes in other states? Or maybe it's more, what are other states, like at the big picture, statewide, doing for safe routes? Maybe you want to know more about encouragement ideas or events. Maybe there's some curricular information you're looking for at some level, or you might have other ideas. There is a box in the second question. If you have other ideas, please share those. These were just some of the things that we talked about that we thought, you know, are these the kinds of things that folks were looking for? So I see we've still got a good number of results popping in. So I'll give it just another maybe 15, 20 seconds since there are a lot of options in this poll, close to the maximum number of options. I think it's 9 of 10. So. All right, I'll give it just a few more seconds. All right, with that, I am going to end the poll and share out the results with you all. Julie, can you confirm with me that people can see the poll results?
Yes.
Great. I don't know how that works while I'm sharing screen. So looks like there's a pretty wide breadth of things that people are interested in as far as what other states are doing. But especially it looks like example projects rose pretty far to the top. It's the only one in the 20s. We had about 26 people respond. And then there's a number of other things in the middle: encouragement ideas and events, information about local programming, engineering strategies and successes. So it looks like there's a fair amount of things that we could share that could be useful, but really that focus on example projects is something that lots of folks would benefit from. So thank you all for sharing. Let me see if I can figure out how to do. I will look at what is in the other responses and comment on that later, because it's not opening in a very friendly way right now. But thank you all for letting us know what you would be looking for here. We appreciate it. With that, I'm going to stop sharing and then the poll results, and then I will toss it back to Ellen and Shirley for the next piece of the conversation.
Yeah, thank you all. Really helpful to see what direction you want us to go and reaching out to other states. So I'm going to take it from here and just talk through, some of the resource topics the survey results shared that were used last year. And because we had a lot of options on the survey. You can go to the next slide. We kind of broke this graph in half, and a number of respondents mentioned that the information you used information about MnDOT grant resources, infrastructure improvements, Walk by Fun curriculum, Walk to School Day, examples around boost grants, infrastructure 101 was useful, back to school day, and then towards the end of the year last year, the new requirements around the active transportation education requirement. So those are the top topics or resources used by folks. And then the next slide shows useful resources and topics that were useful, but for less than half the respondents. So legislative report, statewide student data, leadership network, all useful. And then down to fall engagement, ambassador training, climate action, safe routes. So moving on to the next slide, some of the some in the interest areas where we asked respondents to kind of check boxes about kind of the range from what are you most curious about, what more support in, what resources and information would be most helpful. Youth engagement and leadership came out on top. Like 93% of respondents noted that they were very curious or wanted more support in this area. And then most of the other topics kind of were within like over 70%. Respondents also had a kind of curious and most support in the areas around the Safe Routes and Transportation Week, school partnerships and best practices, sustainability, encouragement. But by far, the youth engagement and leadership was the top response. So I think I'll move on and have Elissa do our next poll so we can dig in a little bit on this topic area for you.
Yeah. Thanks, Ellen. Yeah, so you all will be unsurprised that we want to know more about this, given how much interest there is. Almost everybody who responded to the survey was like, yep, we would like more information about this, please. So we have a poll here where we're starting to tease out what kind of information about youth engagement and youth leadership might you all want to hear more about. These categories definitely are not representative of all kinds of youth engagement or youth leadership work. They're a starting point for us to get a sense of, is it the youth engagement side of things? Are you looking to figure out how you bring youth into the programming that you're already doing? Are you looking at wanting to partner with youth leadership programs and define youth leadership more specifically for you and your community and your work? Or is it something else? It could be something else. There's plenty of stuff that happens in the world of youth engagement and youth leadership that is not represented in this list of ideas. But hopefully this helps us start to get a sense of what might this mean to you all and what would be most useful. I'll give folks another, I don't know, 15 or 20 seconds to fill out the poll, though there will be some silence. You don't need to listen to me vamp for 15 seconds. All right, I see responses are starting to slow down pretty significantly, so I'll give it another 5 or 10 seconds here, and then we will close the poll. All right, I will close it out and share some results. Julie, will you confirm for me again that people can see this?
Yeah, I can see it. I think I'm hoping non-hosts can see it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Shirley says yes too, so that's
okay.
good.
A couple other people, yeah, thumbs up. Yeah, so seeing lots of interest in engaging youth in Safe Routes activities and events, and definitely not a ton of interest in defining what youth leadership means in this work, and a good amount of interest across a number of other things. So I think there's we could have a lot of discussion on a lot of different pieces of this. But this definitely helps us get moving in a direction and start to get a better understanding of what would be useful to you all. So thank you. I'm going to stop sharing again. You all are we're getting bounced around a lot today, but I'll turn it back over, Ellen, to you to talk a little bit more about the rest of the survey results.
Yeah, so we asked the next question we asked, it was an open response question where we asked for your top 3 priorities for Safe Routes to School work in your communities. We received about 70 responses, and some of the themes we heard, kind of the top themes we heard were wanting to prioritize or being more specific around your Safe Routes to School outcomes and your goals. And then also engagement and collaboration with communities and local partners is a key top priority. And then trying to work in the new active transportation education requirement, talking with partners and making sure community partners and members knew about this requirement and trying to integrate it into kind of into the start of the school year. And then another one, numerous people, respondents talked about just, working on PSC change and just upstream approaches to sustain the local program. So all 4 of these had numerous comments kind of along these themes. So very helpful for us to know. And then moving on to the next question, we asked about which equity areas in your communities were are most relevant to the communities and students you're serving. And this year, 100% of the respondents noted income disparities was most relevant. That was followed by housing and geographic disparities, and then racial disparities. Those are the top 3 that this year's respondents noted. And then if you want to go, and then a few key quotes, people noted in the comments as another disparity. Most relevant was just English proficiency and the literacy levels and the educational disparities. Those were a few key comments. But move on to the next slide. We can see how it compared. Oh, oops. Okay. And then keys to addressing equity needs in the school. This was an open response question as well. And responses were around planning kind of programs and activities that were inclusive to all students, and really being working mindfully around that, and then community collaboration and engagement, working directly with community partners to build those relationships, to integrate the community into community voices into the work. And then the third one that the third comment that kind of common theme was prioritizing working the work in schools with lower resources, and then kind of priority populations. So we had about 50 responses to this open question, and these are kind of the key themes that came out as ways to address equity needs in community schools. So moving on to the next question. We asked about a 2024 network meetup. So we can start planning what that will look like next year. The number of the respondents, 85%, would come back to the Twin Cities. Otherwise, the next top response was doing a meetup in person in the Duluth area. And then the feedback around the timing, we heard May and June was really busy for schools. To leave for a meetup might be challenging. And so respondents indicated maybe meetup in July or August might be a better time. So we will consider these responses as we plan for next year. I think with that, we move on. That's the end of our kind of survey analysis. I think we have one more poll question. This will run us through.
One more question. I use like all my poll questions for the year in December, team. Yeah, so I think similar to last year, one of the things we're trying to make sure as we plan a network gathering and ask, many of you, regardless of where it's held, to travel to something in person. We want to be clear on what you are hoping to get out of a network gathering. So this poll is structured a little bit differently. There's a lot of things that we can prioritize in doing a network meetup, right? We can make sure that there's lots of space for networking. We can create space for building those deeper relationships, or facilitate some open-ended conversation. Like with the equity conversations last year, we can create some opportunities to dig deep and problem solve. We also could focus on technical assistance. And so what we want to know from you is what's a high priority, what's a low priority, and what's not a priority at all. Because, last year, I think we heard from a lot of you that all these things have some amount of value, right? But we can't, as much as we wish we could do everything in a single day, we cannot do everything in a single day. And so wanting to get just that better understanding of, what should we be prioritizing because it's a high priority for you versus what is a thing where maybe if we can't get to it in person, that's something that we're able to think about how to transfer to a network call context or hold until next year when it does become a high priority. So I know this one's a little more complicated to fill out than some of the checkboxy ones. But if folks could just take a few minutes, I see some of the preliminary results coming in, that would really help us fill this out. And I think you have to respond to all the questions. I'm not sure. So if you have to put not a priority for other just to fill it out, you might have to do that. So we're experimenting with different poll structures. Yeah, I can hardly believe that. I feel like we just did the network meetup. Ellen and Shirley and Kelly, we just did it yesterday. And now we're already thinking about planning one for this coming summer. So, all right, I'm gonna give it 10 more seconds and then we'll close it out. True, Kelly. Kelly put in the chat, I'm okay thinking about summer already. Yeah. We have to make it through February every year in this state. It's a slog. So, all right, I'm gonna give this an end poll and share the results. And so I have some feedback for Zoom on their color coding here because I don't think this is terribly accessible. But you can see that there's kind of a lighter blue that's high priority. There's a darker blue that's low priority. And then there's the orange that's not a priority. And so, it's a little difficult to see the split between the high and the low priority. But if you look at, I think, question 1, connecting and networking with other safe routes practitioners, right? That's got about 70% high priority. And then the opportunities to dig deep and problem solve, also just below 70% priority. And technical assistance at about 60%. So it seems like those are kind of emerging as the top 3 priorities. I see some folks put some stuff in the other section as well that we can dig into as a planning team. But appreciate you all sharing so we can think about how all the different pieces fit together to make this day and time together successful. We appreciate you. Man, we are like clipping through this call, team. We might get to end early today. Before we do, I just wanted to take a few minutes with you all to do what we talked about at the top of the call, which is kind of proof the presentation that we just gave. So would love it if folks could take either a minute to put in the chat. You're welcome to raise your hand or come off mute. But would love to hear if an answer to any of these questions, right? If there was something that surprised you or excited you about the survey results, if there was something that really strongly resonated with you, either in the survey results or the polling to say, yes, these are the priorities that I have, or, yeah, I agree with, what everybody said, all those top useful things from the call topics. Yep, they're in the MnDOT update. We're not surprised that people like the MnDOT update and find that really useful. Or maybe there was something here that didn't resonate with you at all, that you were looking at the results and you went, wow, my experience is really different than it turns out most people's is. So I will do the thing where we sit here very quietly until I start to see some results roll into the chat or some folks coming off mute or raising their hands, because I do think it's really important for us as a planning team to just have an understanding of, how close is this to accurately representing how the broader network feels, right? There's always going to be complexity and multiple perspectives, but we definitely want to make sure that we're doing that work of double checking with you, checking our understanding. Are we understanding what's coming through correctly? So I'm going to be quiet now. Y'all are really making me lean into painful silence. Well, at the very least, we're not hearing any strong objections to the network summary. But I am surprised that nobody has anything that they found surprising or exciting, because there were some things in the call where I was like, oh, I was surprised by that. Just a quiet December, I guess. Well, I will continue to encourage folks, if there's anything that you would like to share as far as discussion, to put that in the chat. You're also welcome to share feedback with me directly. Hopefully folks have my email. I'm not sure I'm super good in the habit of getting that out on these calls, but I'll put my email in the chat. And if there's any feedback on the survey results that folks would like to share after they've had a little bit more time to digest, I guess I just want to acknowledge that could be a thing too. Feel free to reach out.
You can also email me in response to the email I send out, and I'll make sure it gets to the right people.
Thanks, Julie.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we will move towards closing. And as we end the calendar year, I just wanted to take a minute to thank all of you on the call. The network it doesn't exist unless you all show up to the calls, you share your feedback, your ideas. So many of you have participated on the calls, led work on the calls as presenters, sharing examples of the things that you do in community. So many of you showed up to like be on a panel or help us prep a panel or help us prep a workshop for the in-person meetup. And again, this network just doesn't exist unless all of you are active participants in it. So just wanted to take a minute on behalf of our planning team, just to say thank you for being here, for doing what you do, for making the network such an active and vibrant and fun place to spend time. I don't consider Zoom generally a fun place to spend time. So I really enjoy being with you all and learning from your expertise. So that's just a thank you from us to you. As we close out, wanted to confirm for you all that based on the survey results, we will be keeping the standing date and time. So it will be the first Thursday of the month at 10 a.m. Central. We'll be continuing on with our network calls. And we will be canceling the January. There's no network call in January. Happy New Year. You'll all be coming back from vacation or maybe still on vacation. And so we will kick off the 2024 network calls on Thursday, February 1st. That's what we got today. We're going to end a couple minutes early and give you some time back in a very busy December. I hope you all have a wonderful end of year break. And I look forward to continuing to work with you all in the new year. Take care, folks. Stay warm.